So way back in December, I decided that it would be a good idea to reorganize my bookshelves on Christmas Eve. It was an ambitious project for the end of the year, but I definitely think it was one that was a long time coming. I have had my bookshelves in sort of one orientation for the longest time. I had them all organized by genre and by like author, and part of the reason why I had it organized that way for so long was because it's just easier to find your books that way. But for the years that I've been in the book community, I've seen so many beautiful rainbow bookshelves, and at last, at the end of last year, I decided, you know what, why don't I do this myself? So of course you can see the fruits of my labor behind me, but I did vlog the entire process as I spent like 5 or so hours reorganizing my bookshelves. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the footage from December, and I'm also going to be taking you through a full bookshelf tour. This bookshelf tour will be very similar to some of the other ones that I've done before. I do not like to pull out every single book and show that to you, but I will show you each shelf and sort of pick out some notable books on there and just give you a sense of where my books are on my shelves and which ones I actually own. Now off the bat, I can already tell you that the books on these bookshelves are actually not all the ones that I own. This is just a fraction of the books that I own. I have a lot that are in boxes that I need to donate, and then I have a lot on another bookshelf which is on this side of my room. It's just a skinny little one, and it has a lot of books that are on my TBR or ones that I am planning to read sometime in the future but not anytime soon. And then I've got another set of books on my book cart. You may have seen it in some previous videos, but it's just this rose gold cart, and I've got a lot of my TBR on there as well. And then every now and then I pull out books for like different videos, so they're stacked somewhere in my house, and for that reason they're not on my bookshelves. And one thing I have found after doing the rainbow bookshelf is that it's much harder to find the books that I have, because I feel like previously when I had them organized by genre, I knew like which books were next to which ones, and that kind of helped. But now everything is like everywhere, including like different parts of series. So although it is very aesthetically pleasing, it still has some drawbacks. But on the flip side, I do think I prefer having my bookshelves in the rainbow format for the background of my videos, because I think it just looks a lot cleaner. It adds a little bit more contrast between me and my background. I feel like a lot of times for my previous videos, especially when I was doing thumbnails, when I'm standing in front of the bookshelves, I would just get sort of lost in the background, whereas now I stand out a little bit more. And along with that, I think I just find so much pleasure looking at my bookshelves now with them organized this way. It's just so beautiful, and it brings me so much joy, and I actually think it gives me more energy to want to do more videos in front of it. So I think either way, there are some really great pros for having done this organization, and I think I'm curious to try out other ones in the future as well. I feel like 2023 is a year that I'm doing a lot of new things, and I'm here for it, and I cannot wait. So with all that said, I will take you back to December 2022 when I reorganized my bookshelves. Hello friends, it is Christmas Eve in 2022, and I've decided that I'm going to reorganize my bookshelves based on color. As you can see here, I've already started organizing the books by color, sort of, and I've taken off a few shelves of stuff. I've also unhauled some stuff, so this should be interesting. I've typically only ever organized my books by genre and by series and by author, so this is definitely gonna be something different for me, and I'm hoping that it'll be something nice and new for the new year, but also just like something aesthetically pleasing to look at. I absolutely love other people's rainbow shelves, so I thought, why not try it for once at last? Because this has been a trend for like years and years now, but I've never actually done it, so we're gonna see how this goes. So one thing I'm already struggling with is my childhood books, and then my manga, and then my Rick Riordan verse, and also Cassandra Clare books, because part of me just really doesn't want to split any of these up, especially like the Percy Jackson series. I know they're each a different color, but I just really like them together. So I think I might just leave these 4 shelves together as they are. I've already like moved some of them up from the bottom shelves. So I'm thinking I'm gonna leave this as is and then continue the color, like so blacks here, and then like go across and just keep going. I know some people also do like the whole diagonal color thing, so I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. We'll see. First, I'm just trying to organize things by color and then see where that takes me, because it also depends on how much I have of each color. See, I'm already running into trouble with some books like this, The 11 Lives of Rukhsana Ali, which is basically greenish blue, but it's got this big stripe of black on it. So do I put it under green or do I put it under black? Like, what do I do? Alrighty, we have the progress so far. As you can see, I've taken off a lot of the books and most of them are on my floor. So over here, we have my blacks, and then I'm moving into browns a little and golds, and then we're moving into grays, and then we're going into pinks. And this was hard because I had to decide, like, you know, do I want to go warm pink to cool pink or the other way around? Because the next color is purple, so I felt like cool pinks at the end made more sense. But who knows? I might end up like totally rearranging this shit and I'll be very upset afterwards, but it's fine. I've also got a ton of blacks down here, so they go from here up into the top. We'll see. I might switch these blacks with like a bunch of color in them to the bottom here and then move more of these traditional blacks up here because I feel like that would look a lot better. Okay, progress so far. We have the blacks, the browns, the whites, the pinks, because I decided to stick the whites in there because I thought it would look a little bit better. And then I have the dark purples, dark blues, and then we're getting into more blues over here. But unintentionally, I've ended up with a bunch of dark colors at the top, so I'm gonna try and keep that going for the later colors, like with their shades. So we'll see how it goes. So far, I'm really liking the aesthetic, even though I am like sweating right now from all of the book lifting and dropping and shelving. Alrighty friends, we've made a lot of progress, but I'm really tired, so I'm gonna take a break and get some food. But I honestly never realized how many freaking blue books I have. It never processed before, and now I'm like, is this a thing? But then I also feel like I have a lot of green books and like red books and orange books. So we're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, I have one full bookshelf left to fit both the green books, the orange books, the red books, and the yellow books. So there's 4 colors, but I think there's a little less of the yellow than there are green, but there's just shit ton of orange and red. So I don't even know if all this is gonna fit on the remaining shelves, but we're gonna see. Success! I've completed the colorful shelves. Except I have this one shelf at the bottom that is like empty because I don't know how to, well, I would have to shift everything down because I have a lot of other books on another shelf that are part of my TBR that I don't keep on this shelf. And so I have extra space, but I don't really want to put those books on the main shelf yet and reorganize everything and push everything down. So I might leave that for later. Okay, I figured out a solve. I took books from my book cart and put them on here and then just added a few more reds just to like space things out. Okay, so please excuse this really terrible lighting, but it's just one of those gloomy days for me today. So up here we have my first couple shelves. On my left shelf in the whole set. And this entire bookcase has stayed pretty much the same as before. There's only a few slight differences. So before I had all my manga in the bottom shelf of this bookcase, but now I've moved it up to the second shelf. And then I've still got a lot of my like childhood favorites and also just some small sized books on this top shelf. Some notable additions here is my Ponniyin Selvan books, which is this really epic historical fiction series that was originally written in Tamil, and these are the English translations, and there's like a whole movie series that is based off of these books. So I recently got them and I'm planning to read them soon. I've also got the addition of this little teacup, which I got from a little live show that I did a couple years ago for the release of Chain of Iron, I think, and it's super cute. It's got so many little details to it, and it's also got the tagline of the book, which is "You never forget your first betrayal." And then the plate is also equally gorgeous. It's got the bee, which is like the motif of the book. So yeah, love this. Next up, we've got a couple shelves that are for series. So this shelf is all my Rick Riordan books. Not all of them. I have some other ones, but I've taken them off the shelves because honestly, there's just too many. And some of them I haven't read, so I'm planning to read them. So they're on my TBR shelves. But these are most of the books. So we've got the original Percy Jacksons. We've got the Heroes of Olympus. I've got some Arusha books, the Trials of Apollo, and then I've also got a couple other series. So these are the Magisterium series, and then I've got the Lunar Chronicles. So these are just a couple ones that like I still love. Lunar Chronicles was from when I was in high school, so it has like a fond place in my heart. So all of these are just kind of like here, and then I've got a whole ass shelf for Cassandra Clare books because she has so many that I love and own, and then I've got a random couple Neil Gaiman books. I don't know why they're here, but yeah. Okay, and then on the bottom two shelves of this first bookcase, I've got the first set of black books for my rainbow bookshelf. So these are all books that were kind of hard to categorize by color because a lot of them feature a lot of black, but then they've got like other colors to them. And so it made it really hard to like make it look cohesive with the other colors in the rainbow. So that's why I just decided to put them sort of on these bottom two shelves where you can't really see them, but on like this side, so it comes before the first black books on the next shelf. So yeah, that's kind of why these are all here. There's a lot of great books on here though. I've got my Red Rising books, I've got Legend Born, I've got The City We Became, I've got Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and then I've got like some of my Six of Crows paperbacks over here. I've got some V.E. Schwab and a lot of other just great books on here. Okay, so this is where the actual like colors start. So I've got like the full-on blacks here. And one thing I did that I think is kind of interesting, I started with the blacks that have some sort of gold tone or brown tone in the text or like on the spine. And then I moved into like solid black and white. And then I moved into some black and reds because for some reason there's just a lot of these like different motifs. So like the black and gold and then the black and white and then the black and red. So I just wanted to like group them together a little bit better. But again, I didn't do this like quite perfectly because one of the limitations of my bookshelf is that this top shelf is very small and then the rest of them are bigger. And so some of these bigger books had to go on this shelf versus that shelf. So you'll notice like there's some red ones up here, but then there's some reds here. So yeah, anyways, this isn't perfect, but regardless, I think it looks fine. In terms of notable books on here, I've got a lot of like classics from university classes on here because they all tend to have that like Penguin Classics black spine. I've got a bunch of Shakespeare tragedies that all have the same spine. I've got the original self-published The Atlas Six and Verity. I've got Brissinger, which is the third Aragon book, which I absolutely love. I've got a couple thrillers, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Maidens, which the thrillers, so it makes sense that they're black. And then over here I've got the actual published editions of The Atlas Six. I've got Crooked Kingdom, King of Scars without the dust jacket. And you'll see later on the goldish brown shelf, I have another copy of King of Scars, but with the dust jacket on. And then I've got Babel, which is one of my favorite books. I've got Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've got Ninth House, These Violent Delights, a couple editions of Six of Crows over here. So this is a special edition, and then this is the original edition. And then in terms of knickknacks, I've got this black pennant flag with a bunch of my pins. And then I've also got this little music box that my boyfriend got me ages ago, and it just plays the Sailor Moon theme song. It's super cute and it's honestly just like my favorite thing and it brings me so much joy. Okay, so this is where the blacks go into the browns and then the grays and then into the whites. And obviously I don't have very many brown and gray books, which I'm not surprised by because it technically isn't the most like eye-catching color. And obviously I have some like golds in here as well because I feel like gold is a very similar color to brown. I know it's also similar to yellow, but a lot of the yellows that I have are like bright yellows versus like this burnished gold color. So that's why I felt like they fit better over here. And then we go into silvers and whites. Some notable things here are All My Rage copies. We've also got Graceling, another favorite. I've got some classics in here because a lot of them just happen to be brown. And then I've got Dark Age, I've got King of Scars. And then in the whites, I've got like Silvered Serpents, Cruel Prince, Iron Gold, Very Large Expanse of Sea. I've got Conversations with Friends, which is one that is always so freaking hard to remember it's here because the cover of the book is actually yellow, but the spine is white. So it's always hard to find because I always forget that the spine is white. And then I go to the yellows and I'm like, where is this? Another cool thing I have on this particular set of shelves are these old vintage comics that I got at this like comic book store 80 bajillion years ago. And they are just super, super cool. Okay, so over here I have the continuation of my whites going into sort of these cream colors. And then I've got my first light pinks. And then we go into some magentas and like cool pinks that lead into the purples. This is just a hodgepodge of books. There's a lot of different ones here. Some of my favorites, Disorientation. We've got Next Year in Havana here, Daisy Jones and the Six. I've got my Jane Austen books here as well. I've also got Six Crimson Cranes, which is a book I really loved. And then I've also got The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. Okay, so up here is where the purples sort of merge into the indigos and then into the dark blues. I know a lot of people will be in my comments and be like, oh my god, half of these look black. And yes, they do, but if you actually see them in person, they all look very like dark blue. Like you can definitely tell that they're blue. So that's why it didn't make sense to put them with the blacks. Like they're very much blue-ish books or like indigo-ish books. So that's why they're all together here before we get into the actual blues below. And I think it made sense to sort of go from the magenta purples to light purples and then into indigo and then into dark blue. But let me know if you think it should have been different. I am by no means someone who knows color all that well, so this is just the best I could do. But on these shelves, there's some great books on here. I've got Mirage back here. I've got Girls of Paper and Fire. I've got White Smoke, which is a favorite YA horror of mine. I've got The Burning God, the third Poppy War book. I've got Sky Beyond the Storm, the last Ember in the Ashes book. I've got Queen of Nothing, the last Folk of the Air book. And then down here, I've got Blood Marked, I've got Sky Hunter, Catherine House, Wild Card. I've also got The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, which is a really good book. And then we've also got like All's Well, Princess Bride, which I own and I love the movie, but I haven't read the book yet, so I still need to read that. And then I've got a couple editions of Kingdom of Back, which is one of my favorite YA books as well, and I've got another edition down below. And then in terms of knickknacks that are on these shelves, I've got this like purple Forever Rose that my boyfriend got me like ages ago when I think we first started dating, and it's like purple and he knows purple's my favorite color, so super cute. And then I've got this really tiny little Dark Magician figure, which I absolutely love. And then I've also got this little figurine of the cat Luna from Sailor Moon, and she's holding Sailor Moon's little scepter thing, and I absolutely love this figurine to death. Okay, so after we leave the dark blues, we go into the actual blues and then the light blues. I never realized that I had so many blue books, but honestly they took up like 3 different shelves, or like 3 to 4 different shelves, and it just blew my mind. They are very beautiful though, and I think there's some really great books in here. So we've got Daughter of the Moon Goddess in the corner here. I've got Truly Devious, They Both Die at the End. We've got the 3rd version of Kingdom of Back, Stardust by Neil Gaiman, Strange the Dreamer, 7 Days in June. One thing I will say is that 7 Days in June gave me so much trouble because it's got this like red strip to it, and it just really doesn't fit here. But the blue is like so perfectly fitting in with everything else. So I don't know, I might move this to like my shelf of books that just don't fit anywhere, but we'll see. Either way, I just really like the blue with everything else, even if this kind of sticks out. I've also got Blue Skin Gods in here. I got Aragon, Challenger Deep, Warcross, And then if we go here, I've got the Saga comics. I've got Anna K, Dragon Republic, Such a Fun Age, You Can't Be Serious, Torch Against the Night, which is the second Ember in the Ashes book. So many great ones. And then just some little extra things on the shelves here are this mug. I think this one's based off of Strange the Dreamer. And then I've got this Dark Magician Girl Funko Pop, which is just super, super cute. And then I've got this sun-drenched linen candle, which is also really beautiful smelling. Okay, so this is where the blues lead into the like light green / teal colors. And it was funny to me when I was reorganizing because I didn't realize how many of these colored books I have. These aren't even straight green. A lot of these are like this strange teal color, and I just found it fascinating that I had so many of them and that so many are published with this like interesting and really beautiful color. But we've also got my little sign that says The Story Ain't Over, which is channel name. But if I move that, I've got tons of favorites here. We've got Beach Read, Honey in His Shoes, Guide to Fake Dating, Roughest Draft, Parachutes. I've got An American Marriage and The Stationery Shop. I've got both versions of Siege and Storm over here. I've also got The Wicked King, The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali. That one was like a tricky one to categorize. Again, these are not perfect by any means. Like none of the colors are perfectly perfect, and I do feel like I could have done the gradients a little bit better. But regardless, here it is. I've also got Howl's Moving Castle and When We Left Cuba in here, which are another couple favorites, and Days of Distraction, Marriage of a Thousand Lies. So many great books here. Okay, so this is where the teals move into the actual greens, and then we go into like the neon greens and then the yellows. This was a hard section to organize because I feel like a lot of these were just like difficult shades, and then some of them like felt like greens, like the Shadow and Bone book up there, but then like the actual tone of it doesn't completely fit. And then of course I've got like random outliers like The Reaper at the Gates. Most of the spine is white, but then it's got like a little bit of green, versus I feel like the other books, the color stood out a little bit more because it was like more of a vibrant color. But regardless, I still stuck it in there because in my head it's like a green book. So yeah, I do feel like this top shelf is like the worst in terms of color organization, but I'm over it. In terms of great books on here, I've got Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I've got The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, Reaper at the Gates, obviously. Inheritance by Christopher Paolini, which is the last Aragon book, which is one I absolutely loved. We've also got Thunderhead and The Toll, which are the second and third book in the side series, which is another series that I absolutely love. And then if we go down to this shelf, we've got like A Crown of Wishes, Gilded Wolves, Mexican Gothic, some great faves of mine. We've got an absolutely remarkable thing, and honestly I should be moving this because it's so blue, but I kept it here because the text is like this neon green and I felt like that kind of fit here. But then I did try, I think, putting this in the blue shelf, but it just doesn't fit because of the text. So either way, it just doesn't fit anywhere, so I stuck it here. We've also got People We Meet on Vacation, which is one of those books that has like a green spine, but then the book is actually like orange. And then we get into like the neons and then also the yellows and the light yellows to like the more orangey yellows, and there's a lot of great ones here too. Permanent Record, Bunny, I'm Glad My Mom Died, another great one, I'll Be the One, Frankly in Love, some great books. For some reason I have 2 copies of Shakespeare Sonnets because I'm an idiot and I think I bought it twice, so here we are. And then we've also got Take a Hit, Dani Brown, which is one of my favorite romances. And then the last couple things on here are the additions. So I've got this pennant flag, which is like a green background. I've got these 2 candles that have green themes to them. And then funnily enough, I have like a pot of like fake hanging plant here that just hangs over this corner, and I think it just worked out really well that I had originally had that plant there to begin with, and the greens just ended up landing here. So I think it looks really cute. Okay, so this is where the yellows move into the oranges and then the reds. And again, I didn't realize how many orange/red books I had until I was actually organizing all of this, but a lot of these are also great books. So here I've got Shadow and Bone, one of the editions, because it's more of this gold color, but like more of a yellowish gold. So that's why I kind of put it here, even though the actual book is more blue. I've also got Garone here. I've also got Book Lovers, where the spine is orange, but the book is blue. I've got Poppy War. I've got A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. I've got When Dimple Met Rishi. I've got Goddess in the Machine, Sisters of the Snake, The Iliad, Circe. Circe was a weird one because the book is mostly black, but it's got a lot of orange elements to it. So I decided to just stick it there because I felt like the orange is significant enough to put it there. And then on the shelf itself, I've got these Lego sunflowers. And honestly, this could have gone on the shelf up as well. But I don't know, I just liked it over here for some reason as we transition from yellow to orange. So yeah, these cute little sunflowers in my little Baby Yoda espresso cup, which is just super adorable. And then I've also got like a pumpkin butter woodwick candle, and it's just very nicely orangey red, so I thought it fit perfectly. And then down here we have some of my faves. We've got Iron Widow. We have all 3 editions of Kaige, which is my favorite book ever. We've also got Monday's Not Coming and With the Fire on High, a couple great YA contemporaries, so lots of great ones on here as well. Okay, and this is the end of the bookshelves, and this is where the reds go back into black. As you saw when I was organizing, I originally had this last shelf empty because the colors just shook out that way. So I decided to just add some black at the end here so it gives some continuity to the entire thing. And I just grabbed these ones from like my TBR shelf, which like I wasn't originally gonna add them to the colored bookshelves. So here they are. And then yeah, on here we have quite a few good ones as well. Like we've got Bronze Beast, Ruin and Rising, both editions. I've got Ember in the Ashes, Henna Artist, Jasmine Throne, Scythe. One thing I really do like about the rainbow bookshelves is that for some books that are so vividly like one color to me, they're really easy to find. So like Ruin and Rising, I know it's gonna be in the reds. Bronze Beast, I know it's gonna be in the reds. Catching Fire, I know it's gonna be in the reds, because those books are just so classically like defined by their cover as well and like the color of it, and so it's really easy to like draw up the image of that in your head and be like, oh yeah, it's with the reds. Alrighty, that's my entire bookshelf. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you got to get to know my bookshelf and my reading taste a little bit more, especially if you're new here. And I'd love to hear from all of you if there are any books on my bookshelf that you love the edition, or you wish you had that book, or you think that I might like a certain book based off the books that I already have on my bookshelf. Let me know down below. If you want to get more updates on what I'm reading and what I'm up to on the regular, then definitely go follow me on Instagram and TikTok down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. If you want to check out another video from me or a previous bookshelf tour, then check out the videos on the screen. And as always, please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!